What's up, everybody? Welcome to the never-ending ridiculous discussions N.E.R.D gaming podcast. I'll be your host this week, Dominic Spizzirri, joined by a special guest, Alan Gadbois. How you doing today, Alan?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Now, you're pretty new to the N.E.R.D podcast. This will be your first appearance here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where can we find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I am a freelance writer. I write currently for mtgrocks.com, so it's a Magic the Gathering website, fan community website, and so I write for them as my full-time job, and then I am also a Twitch streamer under the name Dragosi Gaming.
And what do you usually Twitch?
I usually stream Call of Duty, or was streaming Call of Duty for a while. And then I stopped playing Call of Duty when my account had gotten compromised, and there was a whole story around that. So I stopped playing Call of Duty, ended up getting it back, and then just kind of falling off. And then I stream Magic the Gathering. I was streaming World of Warcraft for a while, Binding of Isaac, different roguelike games and stuff like that. So kind of a whole matter of different stuff.
Well, I do thank you for joining me on this episode because we have a bit to go through. These last couple of weeks have been a little hectic in the gaming community, from some really fun events to some unfortunate circumstances. Usually with this show, we tend to like to keep it a little bit more fun here. We want to keep the hype, but unfortunately, there is a story that's just a little too big to not talk about, and that is the Activision Blizzard lawsuit. For those of you who don't really know, there's plenty of other podcasts and other news sources who have been talking about this, so we're one of many, but we definitely want to give our perspective on it. The state of California is issuing a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard for discrimination, sexual harassment, and a lot of inequalities, particularly towards women within their companies and affiliates, other companies that have been working with them. There are some horrific stories for some of these employees, the torment that they've gone through. One of the employees even committed suicide from the effects of everything they went through. So this is something that's really intense. The employees had staged a walkout, I believe either today or yesterday as of the date of this recording. The company has made multiple statements. They're hiring a anti-union element to help out with the situation. So it's definitely a cluster over there. And Alan, I know you were pretty involved with a lot of Blizzard games. You like to play a lot of games. I like to play a couple of Blizzard games, and I know you even mentioned playing Call of Duty. And you had some choice words about this situation, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a ton of sense, right? So I've been an avid Blizzard fan for more than a decade at this point. Even Activision stuff, like I played tons of Guitar Hero and Call of Duty on Xbox, and then when I started playing StarCraft and World of Warcraft and Diablo and things like that, that years ago. And seeing kind of how the quality of a lot of their games, first and foremost, like the inequalities and the just horrific things aside, the quality of their games has dropped over the past many years, and it makes a ton of sense now as to why. Being under as much stress and just anguish and torment as these employees have been over the past few years dealing with this stuff, it's really hard to be able to function in that kind of environment. Obviously, the stuff that's been going on is reprehensible, abhorrent to say the least. And I personally, I support those employees. For one, the employees that were responsible for all this stuff being held accountable for their actions. And then also at the same time support the employees who are speaking up, walking out, doing what they can to make sure that this kind of thing does not happen again, and that this kind of behavior is eradicated from the industry, because it has been a problem for basically forever in this industry and others. So yeah, it's hard to hear. I've been listening to a lot of different people's perspectives on the matter, content creators who are who've made their careers on things like World of Warcraft and StarCraft and things like that. And yeah, it's really disheartening. And I just hope that at the end of the day, things turn around for them, because I would like to be able to support them again. And I think, as much as I guess the one thing that does give me maybe a little bit of hope that they're going to turn this stuff around. There was this, there's a bunch of statements that were put out by Activision Blizzard executives in the past week that have not been good. They've been kind of really terrible, honestly. But there was one that was put out by Bobby Kotick today, I think today or yesterday, that actually was the best response that they did, the response they should have given from the beginning. So that, if it's coming from the top, hopefully that means that there's actually some force behind this change, and hopefully things pan out. I mean, whether it's through litigation and forceful action from the state, or of their own accord, which hopefully it is of their own accord and not just from litigation. But hopefully there's some meaningful change, and the people who were affected by this get do I don't know if there's ever due justice for them, aside from seeing change, right? So
oh no, I absolutely agree. I mean, I don't wish ill will towards the majority of the staff that's there, because I mean, to be frank, not everyone at Activision or Blizzard are probably responsible for some of these heinous crimes. There are plenty of good people there. I mean, they did stage a walkout, so clearly there are many employees at that company that are just good-hearted people that want to continue making these games, that want to continue working on these projects. It's just, honestly, the way I at least see it, this is definitely a failure on the management side, and obviously their HR department.
Yeah.
Because it seems like so many people just let this go, that it seems to be a lot of the management just doesn't care, and they just moved on. And I do kind of agree with you, at least what we were saying. Like, is there a future for these people? And to be frank, in this industry, they probably don't deserve one. They were the leaders at Activision, which is one of the biggest companies right now. I mean, being the fact they own Call of Duty, which is easily top 3 biggest video game franchises right now, next to maybe Grand Theft Auto and Fortnite.
Right.
Like these guys are running such a huge company. They're so important for the industry, and they honestly, they don't deserve the spot. They should be removed. Let's get a younger team in there, and let's get people who are going to treat their employees correctly. Because I don't know about you, but like when we play games, like we don't want to be thinking about what did the staff go through to make this product that's just going to entertain me for a couple hours a day, if that. I don't like Call of Duty is not worth this kind of pain and struggle. At least that's what I'm thinking in my head, and
yeah,
it is definitely a shame. I mean, Activision and Blizzard have both come a long way. Like, I know Blizzard used to be like a name you put on a pedestal, and a lot of the more recent things have been kind of not as good. I know Final Fantasy XIV is kind of taking a lot of attention away from World of Warcraft.
Yep.
I think the latest Diablo was a Warcraft. Was kind of a cluster.
Yeah,
it didn't exactly
Warcraft,
get a lot of praise.
Yeah, Warcraft 3 remastered. There was a lot. I mean, and I think that problem, that product was the result of a lot of other issues that are going on, and maybe not. I wouldn't maybe necessarily call them issues, but maybe they are. Yeah, I mean, there are issues. Just the way that Activision is kind of trying to run the show with Blizzard, there's a little bit more to building and remastering and redoing a Warcraft game than a Call of Duty game, where they have a template that they can pump out every year. There's a big difference there. So that's just its own problem.
Yeah, I mean, even now, just thinking about Activision, they're just literally a Call of Duty machine. So I don't even know where that company has gone to, and they've obviously embraced the bro culture forever. But
Yeah.
I mean, what do you go on?
Oh no, go ahead. I was just agreeing.
What do you think this is going to do for Activision? Because I know Blizzard has a lot of properties they can bank off of. Obviously you have World of Warcraft, you have Overwatch, you have Diablo. There's a lot of. I feel like they could, if they turn the management around and they can show some real change, which obviously is what we're really looking for. You can't just make a statement like the director or the president of the company leader recently did. Like they actually have to do some real change. What do you think is next for Activision in their regard? Because obviously they pretty much only check out Call of Duty. I can't name another game they do, maybe besides Tony Hawk, which even then I believe that company was now pushed towards making a Call of Duty, and so is Toys for Bob, which is now working on Call of Duty as well. What do you think is really next for them? Do you think they need to just hunker down, not do another Call of Duty, and just kind of fix this problem?
I think that it's more than just Call of Duty. So this may be a controversial take. I don't know that necessarily. I don't know the entirety of the Call of Duty community as a whole, right? What their values entail. Obviously, as somebody who had streamed Call of Duty for about a year, I've gotten to know a lot of people who stream Call of Duty, and then I know that a lot of these people would agree with the folks who are walking out and wanting, speaking up against this kind of stuff. My hope is that the community at large is about that, but I know that there's a good segment of the community that's not with that. So I don't think that I think that Activision, as Activision itself, only can realistically, they need to multitask. They need to chew bubblegum and walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. They're going to put another Call of Duty out. They're already knee deep in working on the next Call of Duty title, which is supposed to be releasing in I think it's supposed to be in 3 months, 4 months, something like that. They're already in production on that. There's no way that that's getting scrapped at this point, or even pushed back for that matter. I think that the company as a whole needs to tread very lightly, because even if they don't fix the issues that are plaguing the company right now, no amount of IP banking is going to save them. This is a thing where they lose enough people. They're already hemorrhaging players across a lot of their IP as it is. World of Warcraft numbers are down, and like you had mentioned, in favor of Final Fantasy 14. D3 is, in a way, their numbers are not as great when there are other options for the ARPG genre that exist. StarCraft has, unfortunately, as much as it's my favorite game of all time, a dying esport, in stateside anyways. It's going the way of the dodo. Hearthstone's kind of, here, neither here nor there. It's kind of around, so it's something that they need to regain the trust of the community over the next, 5 to 10 years. This is not a quick overnight fix for them. They have a lot of work to do. They have to kind of continue to hopefully operate as normal. But I think what you had said earlier is dead on. They need to get to the root of the problem, uproot the problematic people, get them out, replace them with staff that are honestly, truly about the actual value statements of Blizzard, Activision, of making good games, and that are just, not crappy people, right? And start there, right? Obviously, they need to they also need to obviously get through the litigation and the lawsuit and stuff as well. There's a lot. It's a really there's a really complicated situation they're in, and there's no, I guess there's no one right answer to the entirety of the situation, but they have a very thin line that they're walking right now. But I think, getting rid of people, getting that stuff sorted is the first step. And then they can proceed with continuing to make games. And hopefully that improves the product and a positive domino effect happens from there. But yeah, it's complicated.
No, that it is. And I know this isn't the only company that California is going to be looking through. They've already kind of made statements that they're starting with Activision Blizzard, but they're moving forward with other ones. Now, I know there's obviously a lot of video game companies located in California. Another particular one being Ubisoft, which kind of had a similar situation like this. I think either last year or the year before that, where a lot of their management kind of had to be changed. Ultimately, though, it barely changed, and a lot of the people that actually had issues are still part of the company. So this is a prevalent thing, and like you mentioned, this is a part of the industry that needs to go away. It needs to end. Video games are for entertainment, and they obviously are a job for a lot of people, whether you're streaming or making them, but a job should be something you enjoy doing, or at least feel comfortable with doing. So I do hope that there is a lot of change in every company in video. It's just not just video games, obviously in any industry.
Yeah.
And that everyone feels comfortable just going to work.
Yeah, and I think it's really kind of a thing that hopefully will root itself out. Like the cultural shift from 20 years ago, people who were gamers 20 years ago or 30 years ago, that cultural shift has changed quite a bit. Gaming has become mainstream, and hopefully that kind of thing is a bit more accepted, so that the people who were, shy, nerds who were picked on in school, once they get put up on a pedestal of having some amount of power, they make this awesome video game sort of thing, don't become the problem. Hopefully they learn socially acceptable norms and learn social skills through this kind of becoming mainstream and popular and accepted. So that's one thing, and hopefully that changes. The other thing I will just say, for anybody out there who follows streamers or content creators who after this are continuing to play World of Warcraft or play, and I think this really is big and prevalent in World of Warcraft specifically, but anybody who's continuing to make their career, their living and their career on playing World of Warcraft or covering news or anything like that that's around World of Warcraft, that's their decision and their choice. It's very difficult for somebody to kind of uproot and leave an entire industry and leave their entire career based around this. If your decision is to boycott Blizzard and their games, that's fine. That's your personal choice. But the folks, don't haggle and harass the people who are continuing to do it because they need to do it, right? The small streamers who are partnered, maybe that's the way that they make their, they pay their bills, is by playing World of Warcraft on stream. Let them do them and let them continue to do that. Don't force them or harass them into, you should boycott Blizzard too, blah, 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 right? Like that's not healthy either, right? You can be mad at the company. Don't be mad at the people who are I guess innocent bystanders in all of this, right? Like there are more people who are going to be affected by this as well too. So that's just something to keep in mind for anybody who's listening out there. That's important.
Right. We don't want the employees to lose their jobs. We don't want the video games to go away. We just want them to have a safe. We want them to have a safe environment to work in. That's what really matters.
Exactly.
So hopefully there's more good news coming from this story that's going to develop. And as it goes on, we'll definitely keep talking about it. And hopefully what we don't see is Activision just announce another game and then try to sweep this under the rug. Hopefully we see real change. Yeah. But to power shift into something a little bit more on the positive side, A couple weeks ago, EA did their EA Play Live, which is essentially kind of the final showcase of our E3 summer. Sony had theirs about a month ago. Their kind of post E3 showcase, and then we obviously covered E3 on our first episode. So this time we're going to do our final one with EA. So to kind of have a little bit of fun, since they only have about 6 or 7 real announcements, I figured, Alan, we could play hit or miss, not for like the community, but for us. So I was just thinking I would read an announcement that they made. And let you say hit or miss, and if you'd like to expound on it, and we can kind of go from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right. So first things first, we have Grid Legends, which is by Codemasters, which they recently took in. It's a driving game.
I love racing games. I love Forza and stuff like that. So, it's been a long time since I've played a grid game.
Right.
But I looking at kind of like the trailers and stuff, it looks sweet. I'm definitely interested in this one, for sure. So this will be a hit for me.
So for me, I think I might actually agree with you. I also do love arcade racers. I think Codemasters also worked on the Dirt series, and I've been playing Dirt 5 via Game Pass a lot lately. It's kind of my go-to. I actually prefer it over Forza Horizon. I think because I'm just not a big fan of open world driving games, and Dirt's just a little bit more arcadey. It's kind of straight to the point.
Sure.
So given Dirt, I think Grid Legends could be something definitely worth checking out. I'm assuming because it's EA, it'll end up on EA Play, and if you have Game Pass, it'll definitely end up on Game Pass route. So a lot of players can probably check it out. So far we have 2 hits for us. The next announcement they had is an update to Apex Legends. It's the Emergence announcement. Does Apex Legends do anything for you?
So I like Apex. I'm bad at it. But for me, I mean, I didn't spend too much time playing Apex, so I know it's gonna do well. But for me, I think I'm gonna pass on this one. There's a little bit too much going on for me in Apex. As somebody again who plays a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of Warzone, Apex is a little bit too flashy, a little bit too much for me. So I'm gonna pass.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. I'm just not a big fan of battle royales. I do love everything Respawn works on. I think if there was a battle royale I would play, it would be Apex Legends. But unfortunately, to me, I personally wish it was Titanfall. That was my big hope that they would ever bring back at an EA Play Live, but ultimately, this is definitely just kind of not really for me, and this doesn't really make me want to try out the game again, but it is really fun, and I agree with you, it's a little flashy, but definitely a miss for me. The next one was kind of an EA indie, I believe it's part of their EA Originals program. It's the reveal trailer, or not a reveal trailer, but the gameplay trailer for Lost in Random. How do you feel about that one?
So this one looked really interesting to me because the character was holding a dice, kind of like on the actual thumbnail for the trailer, and I watched through the trailer, and it looks super interesting. I'm normally not somebody who can play single player games very much. I need to have a multiplayer experience, but roguelikes are the only exception to that. I can jam some roguelikes for a while, and this game has kind of like a deck building element to it, which has gotten me super interested in it. It's got some RNG, which I'm accustomed to with Magic and things like that. This definitely is a big thumbs up, big hit for me. I'm gonna definitely be picking this one up, might be streaming this one because this looks super cool.
So I am so down the middle on this one because I know when we talked about it earlier before the show, I said like, yeah, I'm interested in it, And to be honest, I definitely am because you said two things that definitely sparked me, which was a roguelike, which I love a roguelike game, and the fact that it's a single player game. And it is EA, and a lot of the ones we just kind of mentioned are pretty multiplayer focused. Maybe Grid Legends isn't, I'm not sure. So having an EA single player roguelike does sound great, but you lose me at the deck building. And that to me is kind of an instant turn off. So this game is really, it's on this weird part for me where I think if it's ever ends up on EA Play and Game Pass, it's definitely worth checking out for me. But I think I might overall say a miss just because a deck building really is something that unfortunately kills it for me. I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, it's coming to PC, so PC and consoles,
Okay.
so and Switch, so it should be on EA Play.
Yeah, I would assume so. Most things are showing up in EA Play. So far, the only thing that hasn't off the top of my head is the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and then It Takes Two isn't on EA Play yet, to my knowledge. At least
okay.
at least on the Game Pass EA Play. The next announcement they had is the Knockout City Season 2. Have you played Knockout City yet?
I haven't, but I really want to. I saw the game and I saw some friends playing it, and it looks super interesting. I just haven't had an opportunity to pick it up and try it. But as far as if there's more, this is a unique kind of game. Like this feels like a cool take on like Splatoon, or like the Mario Kart like battles type of game modes and stuff. Like it seems really cool. So I'm if they can push this and make this more popular, I'm all for it. This is cool.
Oh, absolutely. I do actually highly recommend you check it out. I played the game when it launched probably a couple months ago, and it was definitely one of those games where this is the most fun I've had in a multiplayer game in a long time. It's like kind of like the first time you play Halo, or like the first time we played,
Right.
kind of like, and I know we just kind of talk shame about them, but the first time you played Overwatch, you're definitely like, oh, this is something different. And that's exactly how I felt with Knockout City. It definitely gave vibes of like Splatoon kind of thing. So having another season, super cool. The one problem it is for me is that it didn't keep me. I only played it for about a couple weeks until I kind of moved on to something else, and I haven't thought about it since. So having a new season is kind of cool, but ultimately I'm not really a multiplayer game guy, so seasons don't really do anything for me. So for me, it's kind of a miss. It's definitely a game I think I'm going to turn on eventually, play a couple matches. But overall, though, for you, though, I definitely recommend you check it out, though, especially if you like multiplayer, because it is a lot of fun, and it's just something different.
Yeah.
It's completely unique. But speaking
I'll
of
try
multiplayer,
to give it a look.
and I know this one you're super excited about, but they revealed the new Battlefield Portal mode in 2042. So why don't you tell me about your hype on this one?
Yeah, so flashback. Oh gosh, how many years now at this point? Let's call it 12 years, 14 years flashback. Halo 3 map editor. That's what Portal is. So it's basically a game mode maker in Battlefield that lets you incorporate different assets and functions and things from different games in the series of Battlefield, which there's a good number of them. And you can make a bunch of, a specific fancy, cool, interesting game modes and put it up on the communities. Like they have a community portal for the different game modes that you can then go in and download and play and stuff, which looks really interesting. One of the things that they showed in the trailer was they spawned, one team had defibrillators and the other team had combat knives, and it was just like, it looked like a 50v50 brawl fest with defibrillators and combat knives, which looked crazy. But that's the kind of thing that they're talking about now. How in depth you can get with this kind of thing, I don't know. Is this something that, because as far as I know, we don't have a battle royale coming for Battlefield. Is there a team of people, or is there a way, I guess, for us to make a battle royale within Battlefield Portal? I don't know yet, but I will be absolutely 100% looking to try it out, make some cool game modes, and I think that this is the kind of thing that brings endless replayability, especially when this is directly competing against all the people playing COD and Warzone, and this is what Battlefield needs to really be that contender to tap into the community aspect and bring people over and get people to play this game. This is a big step in the right direction, because when they had announced 2042 maybe like a month or so ago, it was just kind of a multiplayer kind of traditional Battlefield type of experience, which for me didn't really catch my attention. This catches my attention so much more, so I expect this is going to be a really, really big selling point for this game, and I'm really excited to try it out.
I agree with everything you've just said. When this game was first revealed last month, it definitely showed up to me as, okay, it's just a multiplayer only Battlefield. Definitely kind of killed it a little bit for me. And then seeing this mode, and just seeing how crazy it can get, is pretty much everything I want from a military multiplayer shooter like this. Especially since I'm a big fan of kind of like the World War I, World War II kind of game. So knowing that that still lives on, and there's modern day on top of it, and you can mix them together, that just seems crazy and seems like a lot of fun. Every single element of this trailer that they showed off was just super interesting. But I think no matter what, though, I feel like this game's always going to have this reputation, and in the back of my head, it still kind of sits there too, is that this is for all intents and purposes, on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X side, this is a $70 multiplayer game. And then I assume, and the last generation side, it's probably a $60 PS4, Xbox, PC game. So just always kind of keeping that in the back of my head, it does kind of make me go, okay, this is a little weird, because especially on the Xbox side, this is coming out against Halo Infinite, which they're currently they're doing their multiplayer first flight right now, and people are starting to see how fun and how great that looks. And I've seen some footage, and of course there's some stuff that they could keep working on, but even the footage that they've been showing off is a build that's over a month old now, and it looks incredible, and it's Halo, and Halo has that reputation.
Yeah.
So I think this game has a lot to stack up against. I know just on my end, knowing that I have to spend $60 to $70 just to play it when Halo Infinite is going to drop, and as an Xbox Game Pass subscriber, for free.
Get that.
Yeah. So I think this game has a lot to go against, but I'm really looking forward to some reviews. I'm hoping it ends up on EA Play and Game Pass sooner rather than later. I think that's going to help it a lot. And then on the PlayStation side, well, maybe, they can get it on PS Plus or something like that. But I do think there's a lot it's riding against. But the gameplay trailer and, just the Battlefield name alone, I think it's definitely going to push this game pretty far. So definitely interested to see where it can go.
This is one of EA's biggest IPs, I think. Right, so it has to be on EA Play. Like, they need to push this out to as many people as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. But they had one more reveal, which this is something that I know Brian from last week's episode was very excited about. But now it's official, and there is a Dead Space remake. Not a remaster, but a full-on Final Fantasy VII Resident Evil 2 style remake. The trailer itself, about a minute long. You really didn't get to see much of anything to it. Alan, have you played the Dead Space games? Does this do anything for you?
Nope, not at all.
Nope.
I am not a fan of scary games, scary movies, none of that stuff. So this is a hard ship it. If I'm sure that there are people who are very excited about this, and I'm not one of them.
Yeah, I can't say I'm too interested either. This trailer was very cool, but it's a minute long. It really didn't have any elements to it. Um, I'm not really a big horror game fan either. I do love the Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 remakes, but they're a little bit more action oriented. They didn't really feel, at least to me, they didn't really feel too horror-y. So this remake, I'm definitely interested in seeing the trailer. For me, I can't say it's really hit or miss because they didn't show enough for me to really see it. But I am definitely interested in seeing what a reimagined Dead Space looks like in the 2023-2024, whenever this game is scheduled to be released. Other than that, that's pretty much everything announced at EA Play Live. What would you, if you had like a couple quick minutes, what was your overall review of this showcase? Was it pretty good, strong ending to our summer of game announcements?
I don't know. For me, EA games, I've never been a huge player of EA titles. I Nothing here to me says like screams, at least for me personally, like this is a perfect way to cap off a bunch of summer announcements. For me, if there was one thing that could cap it off, would be some kind of like Final Fantasy VII remake part 2, right? Like that would be the thing that if it could cap off, but like that's not EA. So I think if anything, maybe the Battlefield was fine, I guess, as like kind of a good way to cap off the end for me personally. So I'd say like 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think EA fans, people who play a lot of multiplayer games, probably enjoyed this. Obviously, the Dead Space fans, my Twitter blew up when the announcement came out. But that was spoiled. Like we knew about the Dead Space remake for a little while, and then other than that, there really was no big announcement. I think Grid Legends was officially revealed. But beyond that, I mean, it is a driving game, and the driving game community isn't as ecstatic as, like, let's say Dead Space community was. So I definitely agree with you there. I think to say like it's kind of a 6 out of 10, I would say yeah. This had a lot missing to it, and EA Studios did announce beforehand the teams at doing Mass Effect weren't going to be there, which we kind of knew. That game just got announced. We highly doubted that the new Mass Effect was going to be involved. The Star Wars team was not going to be there, which to me was a big surprise. I thought for sure we would get even a teaser trailer for the new Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn, or just any kind of update on anything else Star Wars related. And then I know a big one for you was the lack of Skate's team being there, even though they have kind of given us a few little updates here and there.
Yeah, over on Twitter, they actually, on the 19th of July, they posted a video, a little trailer that's just titled "We're Working on It," which blew a lot of people's minds. We got to actually see kind of how they're going through and working the next Skate game. And like they showed people in like mocap suits doing tricks and in like their studios and stuff, and it looks incredible. And for me, like Tony Hawk Pro Skater was one of the first games I like really hardcore ground out for completion back in when I was a kid. I always loved the skate games in general just because it was just the next progression of skateboarding games. So this is this is the thing that we've been asking for years. Where's Skate 4? And it's finally coming. We don't know too much about it, but I guess this is the thing that has kind of hyped me up about anything from EA. Like this puts me in a good mood just like talking about Skate.
I've never played any of the Skate games. I've always played the Tony Hawk ones when I was younger. I know I need to. If
you can get Skate 3 on PC, or on Xbox. I think you can get it on maybe on Xbox. It was an Xbox 360 game.
Yeah.
If you can get Skate 3, go play Skate 3. You won't be disappointed. There's so much like I can't say good enough things about it. It's so much fun. Just go play it if you have a chance. It's definitely worth it.
I'll definitely check it out. I know it's part of Game Pass. I see it on there all the time. I just for some reason I haven't done it yet, but I might take you up on it, especially with the hype around the new one. So I know you also had a story I know you wanted to share. I'm not really particularly educated on this side, but do you want to move into the update on Magic?
Yeah. So, as I said, kind of at the onset of the show, I am a writer for a website for Magic the Gathering, and I invested a lot of time and money in Magic Arena, which is the newer digital client for Magic the Gathering. Wizards just announced a new set that is coming to Magic Arena in 2 weeks. Yeah, literally 2 weeks from today. So last week it's called Historic Horizons. Last week on Friday, they had announced, the announcement post got leaked, and Magic Twitter happened to capture screenshots of that particular announcement. So there was a ton of speculation around what was going to be, what it was all about. Then the actual announcement came out on Monday this week, on the 26th. And so we've been getting new cards previewed from different content creators in the Magic space. And it's a huge, huge set. There's 800 cards in this set, which normally a normal Magic set's about 300-ish cards. So this is about 2.5 Magic sets worth coming into the game in 2 weeks. And so that's for me, it's just kind of a huge thing. And the cards that are being drawn, that are being pulled in from for this set are cards from the Modern Horizons 1 and Modern Horizons 2 sets, which are supplemental paper products that Wizards releases for the modern format in Magic. And Modern Horizons 2 just came out not too long ago. It was a very well received and honestly a really fun set to play, but just it's packed with value. If you buy a box, you're making your money back and then some on that. So we get to see a ton of powerful cards come to Magic Arena, which is super exciting for me. For one, as content, and two, just because I like playing with powerful Magic cards. So so that's kind of the big news on the Magic side of things for the week. And I'm just ecstatic about it. I've been just brewing and writing tech articles and stuff all day, so that's been kind of the really cool fun thing that's coming up.
Well, definitely not a world that I am part of, but for that game, if you guys play some Magic, you're going to get some awesome updates, it sounds like. I know we've also been playing something else. So something I haven't started yet. I've been playing a lot of Switch lately for a particular reason, but I know you wanted to talk about the latest Pokemon game, Pokemon Unite, I believe it's called.
Yeah, Pokemon Unite. So that came out. There were announcements and gameplay screenshots and stuff, and then there was like a tech alpha a few months back, a regional alpha. It's out now. So basically, it's a Pokemon MOBA like League of Legends or Dota, and the premise of the game is not to like destroy towers, but it's to capture Pokeballs, and like you defeat neutral creeps, so like different just Pokemon that are littered on the map. You get Pokeballs, and then you have to score those Pokeballs in various different goals of your opponent, like on your opponent's side of the map. It's 5v5 multiplayer game, and then I think there's about 20-ish, maybe a little less than 20, like 18, 20 different Pokemon out now that you can play. And it's super fun, completely free to play. There is like battle pass systems and stuff like that. There is end game microtransactions that you can that you could purchase that stuff. And yeah, it's really really fun. Definitely would recommend trying it out. And yeah, give it a go. It's like I said, it's free. So
Yeah, no, definitely. It's downloaded on my Switch. I just haven't put the time into it, but I definitely do want to check it out. Like, are you saying it's more like you're saying like balls getting into hoops? Like, is it more like kind of a sports game, kind of a ordeal? Ordeal?
no, so it's a weird. It's yeah, it's like it's a weird. So like, how familiar are you with like League of Legends or
To be
Dota?
honest, not really, not much at all.
Okay, so there the way that it works is it's like an oval sort of map, and the way that it works is like there's two lanes. So like there's two paths. There's a path on the top of the map and a path on the bottom of the map, and then there's what's called the jungle in the middle of the map. And throughout the map, there's various Pokemon that will spawn. So like Apom or Audino or there I forgot the bee Pokemon, not Beedrill, but like kind of the but various Pokemon will spawn throughout the map, and those are just kind of like just neutral Pokemon that anybody can attack. And if you attack and kill that Pokemon, then you get Pokeballs, and you collect up to a certain number of Pokeballs depending on what level you are, and then yeah, so it's kind of like almost like there's a basketball animation, like you kind of dunk the ball into like it's like a big hoop that's floating like and there's different stages of them, so there's 5 hoops on each side, and you after you score 100 points on one hoop, that hoop goes away, and then you move on to the next tier. Eventually you get to their base, but you that's the premise. It's kind of not necessarily like a sports game. It's kind of a weird hybrid, right? It's a really interesting take on a MOBA, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. But I think it's time I finally give a quick 5 minute review of the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD that was just recently released for the Switch. Now, before I kind of start into this, Alan, did you have any experience playing Skyward Sword on the original Wii at all?
I played a little bit of the original one, but too long ago to remember.
Definitely kind of the same thing. This, like a little back history, at least for me. I'm obviously a huge Zelda fan. I have multiple Zelda tattoos. There's Link figures behind me. Um, this is the only Zelda game, at least of the 3D Zeldas, that I've only played once. And usually I play the Zeldas multiple times. Like, I've played Ocarina of Time so many times that I could probably pick it up and beat it in 10 hours. There's no problem, no guide, no issues. Majora's Mask 1,000 times, Wind Waker 1,000 times. So Skyward Sword is definitely the only one that I just really couldn't get into, and there's a slew of reasons why on the original Wii version. So this Switch update has a lot of quality of life improvements that have really made that mindset of this is a Zelda game only worth playing once, that in my opinion, completely gone. In quick review of the Skyward Sword, I would say this HD version has made this a replayable Zelda game, and it's still the worst 3D Zelda, at least in short. So this time I played it, I completed it, I did everything. The controls, like, I don't know if you remember, but there was obviously a lot of waggle. Everything was controlled through motions, pretty much. It wasn't a thing you could do in this game without some sort of motion control, aside from moving Link with the joystick. All of that has been translated to the controllers. Obviously, you can use the I forgot what they're called, the Joy-Cons, to use kind of like the more traditional kind of play it very similar to the Wii version. But I played exclusively on the controller because I wanted to see that. I've already played it that way, so I wanted to play it the new way. So everything being transitioned over is definitely a little awkward. I would say you can tell that this was transitioned from a Wii game, particularly in the sword moves with the joystick, and then just Link's general movements in general. It's still a little frustrating to control. I don't think they 100% solved it. I would say it's like 80% there. That being said, as someone who played the original version and playing this one, this is a godsend. Like, everything about this game is so much easier now, just having it on a controller, but it's still just clunky enough to be frustrating, but nowhere near as much as it used to be. Like, the other quality of life improvements, though, obviously with Fee not showing up as much, You can skip through a lot of her text, or she just doesn't make the text period. It's definitely a vast improvement. For the record, my original playthrough of this game took about 70 hours. This time I completed the entire thing in 35 hours. So that just goes to show just how much easier it is to control this game and how much they kind of remove, which honestly, the only things they really did remove is just dialogue. But I think to compare the Zelda game to the other 3D ones, like for instance, if you guys own a Switch, if you're listening or owning Switch and you want to know if you can check out Skyward Sword, maybe you've only played Breath of the Wild. I mean, this game is vastly different. It's even way different than the other 3D Zeldas. There's no open world. It's kind of open sections that are separate from each other. It's a lot of kind of backtracking. And it's definitely very story focused, which is a little different for Zelda. So that being said, it is tedious. The entire game itself. There's a boss that you play multiple times. He's kind of infamous for being really cool at first, and then like, okay, well, I've already done this second time, but a third time you're kind of asking yourself, why am I doing this again? There's always a section in between things that for the most part feels like it could be removed just to streamline the game a little bit. So I would say the tedium of the game is still there in its entirety. They didn't really affect that, which really does make it not as good as the previous Zeldas, as the other 3D Zeldas. And if you're somebody who's only played Breath of the Wild, as a lot of Zelda fans have done, that is the best-selling Zelda game as of right now, this is going to be a vastly different game. It's obviously going to control completely different, and it's not open world. It's very cutscene heavy. But beyond that, like, I do want to talk about the positives of this game. It is beautiful. The way it actually looks now, it's still pretty dated. Obviously, the textures are Wii textures, so basically GameCube and HD. But the look of this game, I think Link looks wonderful, and all the characters, just the charm and the music and the general presentation of this game is flawless. And to be honest, it's honestly probably the best in the series. It is a Zelda game running at 60 frames per second on the Wii, or I'm sorry, on the Switch, which is incredible. I never thought I'd ever actually say those words. We have a 60 frames per second Zelda that is 3D running on the Switch, both handheld and in docked mode, which is just incredible. It's also 1080p docked 60. So it just kind of goes to show that this game is going to look and run beautifully. And just, again, the charm of the characters alone almost makes it worth just playing through at least once. If you can kind of get behind the tedium or get past the tedium and the kind of the controls. So kind of a quick review for this Zelda. Definitely worth playing if you played the original and you want to get a more streamlined version. I think it's worth checking out, but that being said, this is not a 10 out of 10 Zelda game. Almost every other Zelda game is. I think the Zelda game still remains being a 7 or an 8 at best. It has some real strong things, but overall, a little tedious. Do you remember like the Wii version at all? Does it sound like it's kind of very similar to that?
Honestly, I don't remember. Honestly, it's been so long. I do remember playing, like, having to do playing Twilight Princess with like the motion controls with the Wiimote and nunchucks, and I didn't really like that a whole ton. That was annoying. So I can't imagine that doing it in Skyward Sword would be any better. But I think we're gonna end up picking that one up anyways, because I know that my wife really likes Zelda games as well, so she'll probably get some good amount of hours into it.
I definitely, again, recommend it. If you like Zelda, it's definitely worth checking out. I just definitely think for people who have only experienced certain Zelda games, if this is your second or third Zelda, maybe not the best one to pick up, unless you're just super interested in it, because obviously there's a lot of caveats. But beyond that, Alan, have you been playing anything else that you'd like to talk about?
What have I been playing? I've been playing, obviously, a ton of Magic. I've been playing some Binding of Isaac recently. I've been playing a game called One Step from Eden, which is another roguelike game. If you have ever played Mega Man Battle Network, any of those series of games on the Game Boy or Game Boy Advance, or mostly I think it was all Game Boy Advance, or DS, Game Boy Advance or DS. It's very similar to that. There's a lot of really amazing music in that game. I think it's like $20 or $25 on Steam. Absolutely worth it. 100% go pick that one up. And then Path of Exile, here and there, and a little bit of World of Warcraft. That's about it, pretty much.
Well, everybody, this has been your latest episode of the N.E.R.D Gaming Podcast. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe, whether it be on whatever streaming service you have, or on us on YouTube, or Twitter, or now Instagram. Other than that, nerd out.